My conflict of interest there.
October 1st, October 30th.
Do we wait to do this after we're officially signed sworn in, or?
We'll tell you later.
Okay, okay. And we're not doing anything here, right?
No.
Okay.
Okay, if you'll join me in the flag salute, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
welcome everyone. If you've not signed in and wish to do so, now would be the opportune time. I see we're all present in the counter store except Mr. Martin. Got it? Okay, ma'am, we do number 4, which is oath of office.
So for those of you who were elected to an appointed position, you will have a short term. That's what you take your oath for. So we'll, as we do it, how about we just go down the road? So
Okay.
I, Shelley, we did, so and so forth. Okay. So I
Shelley Ross.
Reed Smith.
do solemnly swear or affirm that I am a citizen of the United States. All of you.
Yes.
And that I'm legally qualified to assume the office of Tekoa City Council position 5
7.
and 1.
Yes.
Yes.
That I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States and of the state of Washington.
Yes.
And that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of this office to the best of my ability.
Yes.
Thank you. So please sign and pass your oaths this way. And then, yes, and then 5 of you will do the same again in January. So, thank you.
Okay, all right. Agenda for modifications, we got anything?
Not, let me just see if the thing that has to be on is on here.
Okay, see you none, we'll move on. Okay, so we're going to attack the October 20th council meeting minutes first.
I do have some suggested changes for those.
Okay.
It was good. There was a lot in that meeting, so I went back and listened to most of it and to all the areas that, so I apologize for the blurry lines, but these are, I made a copy and Eliza made some more, so he's up with my printer, every additional copy, I know. Sorry, it's not your eyes, I promise, it's the copy. So there's 3 areas which I just would like to add a little more information. So the first one would be, and you can see, or those are in our packet too, you can look if you want to, so it would be point B. Under, I guess I didn't put, it is under new business, I believe, and it's point B, under the WashDOT hard fuel pump discussion that we had. I was at the very end of that. We've gone into a lengthy discussion where Mike graciously answered a lot of questions, and I just wanted to have a little bit of a record of that. There was just that Councilman Osmus asked about current usage of the airport and future plans for producing income. Councilman Hale updated regarding the light project. And then it was stated that our public works could do the electric work in-house, because we always asked whether or not, so at that time. So I would, for that part, I would like to, I don't know, do I motion for each one of these as we go, Roy? In case there's debate about, which I just go ahead and read them, and then at the end, we
Sure,
say all
I
except this or
guess,
whatever. Okay.
this is new uncharted territory, so.
No, we made changes before. I've read it in writing before.
Yeah, we'll.
So F, under the L&I inspections, one of it, I just thought the wording helped bring it a little more clear, because it could seem like we were paying $2,065.50 a month. But So just for the first half inspection, the city will pay $2,655.50. And I'd like to add that down from approximately $3,726. The exact number wasn't in front of us when we discussed it. These are broken into monthly payments over the next year. And then the second portion of fines, currently equaling $8,874, are currently under appeal. The appeal will happen in November and the council will be updated, and that was actually already stated exactly like that. Fines involved work in the old city shop and library roof after a storm. They also involve the need to put in eye wash stations at the sewer plant. These have been installed. There was also a separate fine of $250 from the Department of Agriculture. All of those things were discussed, and I just felt it would be important, since this is our document of record, we've discussed them, they were explained to us, we know what's coming, so I felt like it should be in our minutes. And then under council reports regarding derelict buildings, that sentence about that the fire department inspects and approves the projects, that really wasn't the way we discussed it. It was stated that the city issues demolition permits, but not the burn permits. The fire department does that. The mayor stated that the home burned by the fire department last spring did have a demolition permit. And I had gone back and listened to that, and I thought that was a clear summary. And then the last one, and I know we debated this a little bit, but that under Councilman Martin's section, he brought a point of order. And it was stated that simply that he said that council members shouldn't be criticized. If you go back and really listen to the whole thing, he didn't say, he did use the word criticize, but at the very end, he stated a point of order regarding public comment that he was under the impression from our policies that an individual council member was not to be singled out. He made that statement. Whether or not that was what our policy, but that is what he said. And I feel like that's a little more accurate to what he said. So I'd like to motion that we approve the October 20th meeting minutes with these changes put to them.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the council meeting changes for October 20th meeting as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Use abstains. Okay. Motion passes 6-6. One abstention.
And then, otherwise, we make yourself a
Okay. All right. Okay, so now we're going to go to the November 12th special meeting minutes. That was the quantity budget workshop meeting. Correct. Thank you.
I make a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
Okay, it's been moved. And seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain. And I'm abstaining because I was not on council then.
Certainly. Okay. Chicken. Okay. Okay, so now we're gonna approve the November 17th, excuse me, yeah, okay. November 17th council meeting minutes. Any discussion?
Make a motion that we approve the November
It's
17th.
been moved. Is there a second? Mike seconded. We're on that section now. Great. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Well, abstain, sorry. I'm calling you really.
Don't get
Not
used
being
to
a chicken.
don't get used to that, all right? All right. Okay, great. We're ready to roll. Okay, item 7, public comments. Anybody got anything? Okay. At this point, we'll go over to community group updates. Ding, ding. Final budget hearing. Okay, at this point, I open the final budget hearing for our final review and codification. Okay. Any thoughts? Where we at, guys?
Yeah, I have the one on for the taxes for the water and sewer. You added that into the general fund. And, So that's not going in right.
Not at this point.
Yeah, we do that in January. But it was added in on this budget right here.
I don't,
It hasn't changed since the preliminary budget workshop. It has always been moving from water and sewer to the general fund. Is that what you're asking me? Yes, that's right.
And so, okay, so,
So you can choose in
January.
January's point, yes.
okay.
Wait, so let me understand what you're asking. So in January, for this last year's extra water and sewer
For
out of the
thi-
general budget, are you asking about coming up for 2026?
No, this year's.
Okay, this-
okay. Anybody else got any
So,
thoughts?
Eliza, I know you mentioned this at so on the very opening page where it has the general fund beginning balance. And I remember you saying that you budget very cautiously. And so, first of all, I just want to make sure I understand the headings. So there's 2025 budget, 2025, that's the total to date, right? And then the proposed 2025, those numbers in those two columns on the top are exactly the same. It's supposed to.
They should be, so when we came out with the budget last year, we thought we might have $198,730. But what we actually had at the end of the year, at the beginning of this year, was $220,500. So we were a little more than 20,000 to the positive on that. And we will likely be that way for the 2026 preliminary too. But because we're budgeting conservatively and using the proposed ending numbers, that's what our number is. If we wind up spending less or having more income than the 2025 proposed numbers, that will affect that beginning balance for the general fund or any fund.
Okay. So.
No, does that help?
Yeah, well, then the 2026 preliminary,
Mhm.
it's greatly lower than in any of the other years. But did we start out preliminary close to these before, and then once we get to the end of the year, it goes up? Or-
It usually goes up, but you also remember we had the settlement for Eric Hood this year. We had a couple of large general fund expenses that we don't normally have. So that's part of it too.
So that's number comes from where we are at, or where you kind of project we're gonna be at the end of the year, not projected income for next year.
Correct.
Okay.
And that was the difference, if I remember correctly, it's the number there, the difference between December 31st and what comes up the second or third week in January when everything's finalized.
That's true.
Okay.
So what Reed is referencing is that we're required to do what is called 13th month accounting, and that means that any bill that we receive through January 20th that was incurred in the previous year has to be attributed to that year. So if I give you a number on December 31, it's going to be slightly different than what happens after all the bills are paid through January 20th. So, yeah.
And one thing I'd like to bring up, for the building inspector, that we're going in the hole. And so I'll just throw this out, it's something we can look at next year. Because this year we only took in $2,700 and we got 5,000 or 6,000 going out. And so it doesn't pay. And so I would kind of like to see if we can get Billington over there, because he's a building inspector over in Roselia, and he does this area. And so I would just have the city council look at that, because we lose money on that.
We don't normally. Last year we were at about 13,000, the year before was 11, the year before was still double digits in the thousands, so it depends a lot on the year.
But in the long run, we lose money.
I would support that. We have a moment to stop.
Didn't we talk about that?
Yeah, we did, and then after the first of the year, I even thought of having, it's okay with Roy, that's what I wanted to ask tonight, is just have him come in and get on the agenda and explain what he does.
Presentation.
would it help to have like some kind of a, what's the word, like a timesheet or something, maybe this next year, so we can see how many, I think you suggested that for the code enforcement as well, is so we can really kind of see, do we pay them per project, especially building inspector, maybe pay per project rather than a monthly, so some months it might be a lot more, some months a lot less, but in the long run, maybe it will even out the income we're bringing for that.
But that was gonna be kind of my question, is what's causing that deficit? Because we charge for the building permit, but we're paying him, so why is there that?
There's not,
saying only
there's not,
25.
some years there's just flat out not enough.
Buildings have slowed down.
Well, also, they get a
But we're not just-
monthly
we're-
stipend. It's
Okay,
a
oh, okay.
$500 monthly stipend.
Okay,
Same
so
as
that's the
building
reason.
enforcement.
Right now, they're paid set salary,
Oh, okay,
and so that's some of the problem. Now, we can look at this next year, but I just want to make sure that, it's getting close, that we need to look at that.
okay. I was just curious as to why there was that deficit. If, you know, if we're getting this permit, he's getting paid, then why, but I didn't know he's getting paid monthly just to sit there.
He has a
Okay,
good percentage of the permit. He's just salary.
okay,
I think it dares to be pointed out that, you know, there's a lot more to building inspectors than just watching what's going on as the buildings are going on. Okay, he's always watching other things, and they're the ones that you don't necessarily catch, the ones that don't come in.
Mhm.
Okay, and if you're not in town, then you lose that. Not that Devin's not a good guy, but I think not being in town, we would lose some effectiveness. I think we'd lose a considerable amount.
Have we always had a building inspector? So you've been on the council, you were on the council 13 years, and now there's still all the years.
No, yeah, we've always had a building inspector, but there's been building inspectors that were building like, we had people that were contractors and everything else, and they were building inspectors for the town.
Yeah, we had a building inspector, actually was a contractor. And that didn't work all that good. Oh, no, he wasn't a contractor in town. He was taking time away from his real job. Just like anybody that we've had since I've been involved has always had another gig. And I think the fact that we've always had guys in town. And so things don't slip by. And I think that would be a step backwards. I think if we had to, that's a good case. I don't think we have to. I think, you know, that you average out over 5 years and we're doing all right. Okay, so, but that's what we'll have to look at, and we'll talk to Devin and see what he wants to do. He's spread pretty thin.
It's not that, it's his brother Robert.
Robert?
Oh, you're talking about the guy in the side?
The building inspector for is Robert, he's
Oh.
over 1 million.
Okay.
Devin is the
I may be way off here, but, not everybody bills. Everybody pays their bills, you know, everybody pays their city bills.
Mhm.
But not everybody bills. So everybody in your community is paying for your building inspector. But the only ones who are building houses are the ones that are benefiting by having someone here, like you're saying daily or living here.
True.
Yeah. And your point is?
That is my point. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
just that, you
But
know,
the
everybody's paying
people
the
who
answer,
are,
but-
you're saying that if you went by charging, that the people who need it, they're the ones who pay, if we charge by
Well,
the,
they're paying anyway.
Yeah,
They're paying
they pay a
building
percentage of
permits,
it or add on,
But
but
to
they,
take us out of the mix.
so I see what you're saying.
Can I bring something up?
Yep. Yeah.
There's no real way for us to get out of the mix as a city. I mean, are they gonna come in, how are they gonna buy permits? Are they gonna buy permits from the building inspector?
No,
They're gonna come in here and buy permits. So like we're adding another layer of complexity to it now, because we're still going to be doing all of that. But now, how are we paying them? I mean, do you understand what I'm saying?
I
Like,
understand what you're saying, but the thing is, in this time of day and age, and we ran into it when you attempted to condemn a building down there. A building inspector that's qualified knows what to look for.
Can be objected
In this
to.
day, in this day and age, you have, when you're building a house, you have to make it. Otherwise, you're in trouble.
Okay, so,
But Elijah, you're saying we're in the mix, but really all you have to do is just give them the building permit to fill out. Is that right?
Well, I'm saying that it doesn't alleviate the city from part of the cost of building inspections. Like, we're still gonna be handling all of the paperwork costs. It's just now that we won't receive any funds that would reimburse any of that for any of the stuff that goes on in the office.
Well, let's set up an appointment, bring him in and just see how it's done.
Yeah, I agree with that. At least have him come in so we know, get his perspective on
Yeah.
the options we have.
how would you have felt like when you were building inspector, Dave?
It was overwhelming, but I took school, I went to building school.
Were you retired at the time, or did you still?
No, I worked for the city, you know,
You were working for the city and doing the building inspector.
but I was qualified. So I had a certificate.
Okay.
And I've run into a couple of cases already that, bad plumbing and whatever, and the inspector went in there and told the individual he had to rip it all out.
So when you were a building inspector, was that when the sewer line had a building built over the top of it? Or was that when you were on the council?
Where was that at?
Courier building, when they put the sewer over the top of when they built a house, the shop over the barn over the top of the city?
That was done way before I was there.
That was done way before.
Mhm.
So you were city employee after that was done.
I wasn't a city employee or nothing when that was done.
That was done, what, 30 years ago then?
Yeah.
50?
Yeah, well,
96 or
way
something.
before I started in '93,
maybe in the early 90s.
Well, I don't know.
before I was here.
I was just trying to get a time on
J Park.
Yeah.
Early 90s, maybe.
early 90s.
Yeah. Late 80s.
Okay, well, I was trying to think. I've been here since about 90.
There was a lot of things that were wrong back in those days because, take for instance, the house property I bought, the railroad, when they put it in, and they shouldn't have done it, but they cut costs. They had one water line serving three houses. And so I had to go and divide all that up. And, but, there was, back in the old days, that's why a good qualified building inspector catches these things. And so it's the same thing that's going on when the new individual that's building the house over by us, his water line runs right across my property. Well, he's gonna have to put a new water line in, because he's not gonna be able to use that water line. And back in those days, they just let him
There was
do it.
lots of stuff, right?
I
I think, I understand your concern, okay? I just think that we are fortunate to have a couple of qualified people in the community to do this, just as we are to have a code enforcement officer qualified. When I talk to other mayors from other communities, they want to know how we handle code enforcement. I say, we've got a guy who used to be on the council, who's a law enforcement officer that does it for us. And they wish they had those opportunities. And the same thing with the building inspector. I think we're fortunate. I'm not going to say we're lucky, because you kind of make your own luck, okay? But I think we're fortunate to have a couple pretty qualified people to do this. And until you can prove that it's wrong, I'm willing to do it, because we're really not talking about that much money, and it really does help to have somebody here watching this stuff.
Yeah, the building inspector, the one we have, is gonna be gone a portion of the year, isn't that correct?
We've got it arranged. They're going to cover each other.
I don't think it's a question of who's qualified, I think everybody
Right.
feels like who's ever done it's very qualified. We're
Mhm.
trying to figure out how we can just cut back on anything, even little things out of
Mhm.
it.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with how qualified they are.
All right.
Well, so just, wouldn't people still come in and buy a permit from the city?
Sure.
They would still buy the permit, so, and then if we change, came up with a better or different pay structure, couldn't it be a percentage that goes to the building inspector or we would have to change, but in other words, it's more directly going rather than just the monthly fee, but we should still get money, wouldn't we?
We would, but what I'm saying is depending on how that is structured, which would have to be figured out. Like the cost to the city for administration would not go away, only now, depending on how things were structured, we may or may not be getting reimbursed for any of that.
Well, right now, we're paying a lot more than we're taking in.
Well, but in the last 4 years, we've
1
taken
year.
in a lot more than what we paid out, so the average was heavily weighted on the
Is that-
positive side.
Is this something that would have to be decided before we do this
No,
budget?
No, and we
So-
could do similar, like new numbers too, and you guys could look and see what the last 5 years look like.
We'll just look at it for next year.
And again, I think with both positions, I just think timesheets or some kind of monthly reports of what is being done, so we can see and we can justify to ourselves and others that, yeah, that this many calls was done by our code inspector, he went to this home and this home, we don't have to have the actual homes, but he went to 3 homes and dealt with these type of issues. I just think records of that will help us know what we're paying for.
And I believe that, and that's what I asked last week, or last one, and it's the same thing with the building inspector and the code enforcement. The timesheets of what they do, it's necessary to have that done.
I'm gonna bring Steven into this because he's got a bad shoulder and he keeps raising his arm. I think he's stretching out.
So I'm not on either side, like it's your guys' decision, obviously, as council members. So the con to having somebody else from out of town come in is unless they're contracted to do patrolling in Tekoa, they're not gonna catch those people that aren't getting permits. And then that's gonna fall to Public Works probably because we're the ones driving around town noticing things popping up that I question and I go, hey, do these people have a permit? No, okay, well, we need to get a permit. That's gonna become a part of my job unless it's in their contract to once a week come patrol for new things. The other thing is it's kind of not fair statement to say that no taxpayers or not everybody should be putting into this fund because everybody that pays taxes has a house. I just had to get a permit for my house to redo my garage roof. There's things like window, or like if you do a significant amount of windows, updating a structure, like putting in headers and all that stuff, there's permits for that. There's permits if you want to do an addition. It's not just building a brand new structure on a lot. That's maintenance and repairs. If you get your house re-roofed, there's a permit for that. So it's not really fair to say none of the other taxpayers are supposed to be paying for this because, we all have homes. So
Well, that wasn't really my point either. I mean, building, yes, but I realize you do have to get building permits for all of what you mentioned there. But there again, if you don't always know when that happens.
Yeah.
You're in a position where you can really pick it out.
yeah, so just FYI, if you hire somebody on the outside, that's gonna be more administration for like, calling for them and managing that kind of thing to where they have to call the building inspector down to say, hey, somebody had a permit, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm gonna be out having to end up patrolling unless it's in their contract, which I shouldn't have to do. I shouldn't have to look for new things popping up as far as structures or going around to people re-roofing their houses. So that's my 2 cents.
That's a
Thank you.
good point.
Okay, all right. Any more discussions, guys?
So about that or about the budget in general. I still have some budget.
About the budget?
Yeah, budget. So, I'm not sure where it is on the budget, but we had talked about, the fund for maintenance for this building. Is that an actual, it was where we talked about.
Yeah, there's where it's divided up into water sewer streets, it's 700 or so for each one of those.
If possible, I would like to see a little more money go into that than just 700. I really think we need to plan for the future on whether it's the re-roofing or whatever other maintenance and that's, so I don't know if, otherwise you feel like we could like bump that to 1,000.
I think that's doable. In each of those.
Yeah, would you guys see that was when we had the discussion about, especially there's still an unknown about, what's that?
Chip sealing or major.
No, it's for this building.
Here.
About the fact that the roof is possibly in question and if we're gonna put the solar panels on there. And I just think at some point, there's gonna be some major renovations needed in this building and I would like to see us
No question.
plan a little ahead for that. So I would like to propose, do I make that into a motion to change that or can we just do it?
Well,
as a-
Because it's gonna, if you add it in, if you say we're gonna do the correction, then it can be approved with the budget,
changes.
with changes.
Okay, all right, so that would be my,
The solar panels is no cost to us.
right,
No.
That was all,
right.
so yeah, you're saying
That's about the
that,
roof itself.
right, but I'm saying, you mentioned the solar panels, but that's going to be through a grant.
Right,
Yeah.
now I'm talking about
Right.
whether the solar panels will.
If the roof will support it,
Yes,
right,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, we'll accept that.
And then does it reflect in this budget? I would like to see us, once again, put 150,000, I think that's what we put in last year.
I believe so, I think that's what we.
Okay, so we put 150,000 into the water sewer that I believe later this month, we will actually move that into the reserve.
I'm just double check, but I'm pretty sure that's what I budgeted for this next year. Yes, it says $150,000 is transferred this year.
Is that an investment one?
Pardon?
The investment?
Yes, yeah, so both this year and next year.
So is there,
150,000.
I'm sorry, is there no reason we could do that at the beginning of the year? Because even if it's in that reserve and we have an emergency of some kind, we still could use it for that as well, right? I mean, I wasn't sure the
If I
reason why
understand
waiting a whole year to actually move it into the reserve.
Well, if we have a really healthy amount over and above what we expect operating expenses to be like early in the year, then you could consider that. Otherwise, because it's such a large amount that we're moving, you don't want to move it prematurely. It's still getting interest, but it's available for use. And the other part of it is making sure you're not running overall balances too close. That's really the main thing.
Okay.
That's why I didn't do it at the mid part of the year, was making sure there was plenty of operating capital in the sewer.
Well, then in that same vein, do we need to make sure there's a little bit more money on the water reserve, in the water funds and waters? I mean, I know it has to generate its own, I'm not exactly sure how that all works, but it's pretty tight in there based on those discussions we've had the last couple of months.
Well, water, here, I'll just look at it for you. We had anticipated it being significantly tighter at the end of last year than it wound up being. We had thought that we would start 2025 with just under $70,000. We actually wound up starting with 137, 283. So we're anticipating starting this next year at 136, 181. That's a reasonable amount to have in there without worrying about it too much. And that's, we might start with a little bit more than that. So if it gets a little bit healthier, then you might be able to take some of that and put it into the water reserves, which are pretty low. I think that's what you're talking about, because we only have we can't spend that 115,000. So is that answer your question? Okay.
So we could, even at the end of this year, put more into the water reserve.
Right, or maybe you can look at it in January when we know what our beginning balances are
Okay.
at it'll be after the first meeting in February because of the 20th of January thing. But we'll be pretty close by the second meeting in January.
Okay. And then my other question related to that is, do we have to make a decision prior to finalizing this budget about, water sewer rates, any increases?
No. This budget is based on no increases.
Okay.
You can make the decision, whatever decision that is, anytime between now and when we bill at the end of January.
So we have to, right? And when will we hear from, get our next update on where we are with the sewer?
They're coming on the 15th. So I put it on the agenda to tell you they're coming on the 15th.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Oh, okay, all right, so, because I feel like we would make a much better decision about an amount of any type of increase. So we could do that our first meeting in January, after we've had some time to digest what we're doing. Okay, all right, those are all I think I have right now.
Okay, any more thoughts about the budget? We ready to put this to bed?
I think there was some discussion about not approving this budget, I'm sure until about, to the 15th, the next meeting?
16th.
16th, is that what it is? Yeah. So we have time to review it some more. We talked about last meeting, gives time to work out a little bit more. With some. I don't know.
You're not quite ready
Yeah,
to make a decision yet?
I'm not, no. It's good to
It
see
doesn't have
it.
to be passed till the end of the year, but we can't do final financial action for a second class city at a special meeting, so you need to pass it by the next meeting.
Oh, yeah, next meeting, no question.
Okay, then we will push this again to
Let me ask you another question here. On the burn pile expenses, I know it's 554-90-40-00. I don't know what, I don't have page numbers. I'm looking at the original budget.
Oh,
here, so
okay.
I'm like page 3 that time for me.
Okay.
So all my notes are there. On the burn pile expenses, they were up for a couple of years and, I'm trying to remember, oh no, I'm looking at this, no, I'm looking at the right one. So there was 2,360 in 2,224 and 25, and then zero budgeted at the beginning of, well, let me make sure I'm not jumping the lines. So zero there for the last two, and then next year you're projecting 3,000 for that.
There's a couple of lines, and I'm not sure which other one you're talking about, but one of them, we have to put the water in for
Okay,
it. So
yes.
that was the one where there was no money, but there is money in it next year
To
to get the
put
water
water.
connection.
Okay, that's why I had water written down and I wasn't sure what that had to do with. Okay, so I'm just making sure. Yeah, I know I would like to go through and look at a few more things and make sure, but, thanks. All the answers are really helpful.
The question about the golf course, on the $600 there, that's not much, but I think we have to be prepared if we do move ahead on some of these projects. We're gonna have to have matching funds. How much that is, I don't know. All depends on what bids we get on the repairs, on the remodeling of that building. So it's just as a policy, I think we need to be prepared. It might be, I don't know, depending on what it is, $10,000 from the city as a matching fund to move forward on that project. Or depending on how it comes out, we might get bids. So I don't have a dollar amount, who knows what it might be.
So you'll have one by the 16th?
So
I hope.
the $600 is what we paid to keep, or is it what they
That's
give
what they
us?
give us.
Just
That's
under,
their
so that's a
lease.
lease.
That's a lease.
So I would definitely think we should look at,
Well, the other thing to
Increasing that.
consider when we look at that is the city pays the water bill for the clubhouse. That was $590. So there's a $10 difference there that came to the city. And then we pay liability on top of what they pay. So the city went backwards.
yeah. So I mean, definitely, I think we did that with the other properties.
And all we have to do is notify them 60 days of an intent to renegotiate the lease or
Okay,
whatever.
so is it an annual renewal then?
I think it's every 3 years, and I'm still trying to find a signed copy of the last one. We do not have one, so is that lease enforceable?
I've seen it, I'm not sure I've seen it.
Well, I've got the latest contract, but nobody ever signed it.
Yeah, that's,
So these are questions we need to answer. I'd like to see if the golf course has a signed copy of the lease, because then we would have one. And I think down the road, I'd like for us to all sit down and say, hey, look, here's your 60-day or whatever notice to renegotiate the contract. And here's the changes we are proposing. Possibly a rate increase per month, possibly you pay your own water to clubhouse. But we need to put the city on the positive side of it.
Sure,
Agree.
I can totally think it should be doable on their end.
I can try and get maybe you can see if they've done a signed contract.
Yeah, I'll check, I've been in a number of meetings, I'll see if they have a signed contract, I know who to call. They should have one, they
It'd be great to have it, because right now, $600, that's $50 a month they're paying to use the golf course.
So what do you think would be a reasonable increase, Pete or Mike? Because, based on, we did that with the old city shop, we did an increase there. Now, of course, that's some, but
If we left it at 600 and they paid their water bill, that's a $1,200 a year lease payment, basically. And that may be more reasonable, it may be more than that, but to make an informed decision, it'd be cool to see their financial reports for a couple, 3 months to see financially where they are, because we don't want to run them out of town, because it's a good asset for us, but we have to be fair to the people who live in this town too. You can't run a business in town for $50 a month.
No, two things. One, we need to do a signed contract, no question. Two, I think that their budget is pretty small. Yeah, it is not very healthy, and if we're talking about low numbers, I've seen the financial records, but not this year. It's like 60, 70,000, or maybe more.
The nice thing about that, Pete, is if we have that in writing for maybe 2 or 3 years, so we know exactly where they're at, then we can be fair to them and fair to the city. Because if we don't know what it is, and we say, hey, you're gonna pay us $1,800 a year, maybe that affects how long they can stay in business. If we know what their business is through financial statements, then that allows us to make an informed decision that doesn't screw that business, but it helps the city on the golf course.
I've seen some of the financial stuff, and I think the report has a lot of information on it as well, so they need to look at it.
If we can get that, that would be huge for us.
I mean, you're right. See, for a long time, everybody just, the golf course, leave it alone, let it go. And as long as somebody's there, it's that asset, everybody enjoys it, and nobody much gave it any thought. Matter of fact, a lot of people certainly didn't really realize it, that the city owned it.
City owns the property,
Yeah.
not the business.
Well, no, the property, and all the buildings and all that. But you're right, not the business. We just want to we need to get documentation to see where we are, see if we can improve it. That's the idea. We don't want to put money into something that's not going to generate anything, you're not going to do well. And we don't want to kill the goose that lays the golden egg. We don't want to do that. Not this has a golden egg going on.
But that's the fair way. I mean, how much money they're putting in their pocket, then we can work it out so it works for both.
So you have a finance, we got all year to work on it, but, get a financial thing from.
And we need a financial statement.
And I'd like it for more than 1 month or 1 year.
Oh.
Because if we got 3 years, then we can average that out for up and down. And that's more fair to them as it is for the city. I mean, I don't want to run them out of town, but I don't think the city should be subsidizing a for-profit business either.
I agree with you, 100%. Until you know, and until they know what our expectations are, nothing changes. So
Yeah, I agree. We get the financial reports, it's boom, boom, we're done.
I agree.
Okay,
Good point.
are we done discussing the budget at this point?
Go to the 16th.
Yep, it's gonna get kicked down to the 16th. All right. At this point, I guess it's not the final budget hearing meeting, right?
What is the final budget hearing?
Okay, gotcha. So next on the 16th, let's be ready to vote. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Unfinished business. Union contract.
Well, negotiations, as we said before, still ongoing, no conclusions yet. So we need to get more time to work on it. All parties are working together, negotiating. So we just have to stay tuned, how we can say.
You, I should have probably buzzed you before now, but do you have any idea where we're at as far as the bill with the invoice with the attorney?
I'm not aware exactly. I think, actually, I don't. They've been, I know we had, last time I checked, we had used less than half. I suspect maybe, we've used maybe, 60%, that's an approximation. They've given us a lot of breaks. They've not charged us for a lot of things, which has been a benefit to us. So, to answer your question, it's a good question, and I should know the answer, but I should know more next meeting on the exact. So it's a good question. We should know
Doesn't this contract have to be finalized by the end of this month?
No,
No? Okay,
no. It's open-ended, negotiations continue.
okay. I thought it had to be, the contract had to be finished by the end of the year.
It's
Okay.
It can go along.
Okay.
That is a good question. Good question.
Okay. We all good? Be the elected officials training reminder, which is this Saturday, I believe at 8 o'clock. Yeah, Tekoa Heights.
Did we ever get an address and everything? Because I never got that.
It's at the city hall.
I'm guessing it's at the Airway Heights City Hall. Airway Heights. You got these Google things, you can kind of look up that stuff.
I can make sure everyone does that.
Thank you.
I can't go because my kids got guard duty and we got babysitting that weekend.
Okay, so you can get it online, right?
Yeah, we got it.
Registered.
The mic's going up, I'm gonna go up.
Yes. I sent you confirmation.
I got confirmation.
I know I have you. I'm not 100% on you. I need to
Years
look.
ago.
Oh, yeah, I did it 3 years ago. I was just gonna go by camp. Yeah, I'll get it online.
Understand, you can't have more than 3 in a car.
Okay. All right now.
Oh, you can't talk to me.
Or you can't talk any business. All right, okay, noise ordinance, C, what do we got? Anybody know anything besides,
Well, weren't we waiting for, in the minutes it said that Eric was gonna come back to us with some research from his other towns and was gonna look about the decibel thing. So, unless, I think, didn't I see Adam here? Unless you had some new information for us or anything else. Is he hiding?
Can I slink and hide under my?
Okay, no, that's fine, I just, so really,
you know,
can we
if
just,
you don't have anything or don't feel comfortable, then that's,
that's fine, I just didn't know if you.
I have all kinds of things I can say, but I'm gonna leave it where I left it with you guys. I gave you guys lots of information, so at this point, I'm gonna leave it in your guys' more than capable hands.
Well, I think until we hear what Eric brings to us,
Gotcha.
can we just move to the
okay,
next?
perfect. Okay,
Question, sir.
yes,
On that petition for the noise ordinance, which I think is a good idea, do all the people that signed the petition have to live within the city limits of Tekoa?
well, I understand, I see, I know your concern, because there's a lot of different addresses, I don't think so.
Okay, I'm just asking a question because we don't need somebody from the county trying to enforce what we do.
Well, I think that this was a case where this was a petition in order to get something on a ballot, I believe. So I think this is just people voicing their concerns and
I
their,
hate to see us go down the road and have to back.
well, we haven't,
Might be hurt in the county too.
until there's a legislative
Okay.
issue, I think we're all right.
Well, Mike, you're right. The credibility of that petition is damaged if it's people have signed it out of the city limits,
Right.
because it hurts your credibility. But it is a legal document.
No, but if at some point in time, if it ever comes to that, then it would be nice to verify.
Then all the
But it is
names,
people who work here or live here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Maybe,
if they
I
work
mean, I don't
here,
know whether
they're
people who
exposed
don't
to
work
it.
here
I
are
don't
signed
know,
it.
no, I mean,
I
I
know
didn't
there were
expect
people who
it
worked here.
right, didn't expect it that closely, but I wasn't too concerned because it's really not a valid legal document. Okay, it is just supporting his opinions, okay? All right, D, WWTP facilities plan, ma'am.
Century West will be here at the next meeting to present
Okay.
the finalized.
Take it down the road, huh? Okay, great. New business. Review water connection fees. I didn't see that. It's on.
I got it. I'm bringing it, yeah.
Yeah, back up a little bit. and you find the-
Oh, there he is.
the one.
That's what I mean.
There's some in the package too.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just need these out.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Just be on the call. Appreciate that.
All right, so, this is just something that I, calculated up because I thought we were getting pretty close to the amount that it costs the city for our $3,000 water service connection. Turns out that we're under what it costs. So just for parts, which I didn't include the invoice from H.G. Fowler.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it's in
Okay, gotcha. So parts for 3/4 inch water line is totaling $2,312.28. So if it took 8 hours, which it usually does, or it can be longer depending on the soil or, you know, how difficult it is to get down to the main water line to tap it, we're looking at an average of 8 hours. So I split up the backhoe for 4 hours, the labor for 4 hours. That's the labor that would be in the backhoe originally and then out of it for 4 hours doing connections. So backhoe and operator for 4 hours is $800. Labor for 4 hours is $164. And then the second labor for 8 hours is $328, making the grand total of $3,604.28. This is the cost for a standard 3/4 inch water line install up to 100 feet, not including replacement of asphalt if we have to get the water main in the asphalt road. And then also not including any complications of install. So like say, if we dig down and it's plastic main and that main cracks because it's C900 and it's old. I mean, it's not, C900 isn't old plastic pipe, but it's more prone to busting out if you're live tapping it. So if there's complications like that busts out, then we have to do repairs to it. So this is just basically a cost estimate of your average service line. So, and I'm not asking you guys to take a vote tonight on this. This can be, you know, beginning of the year or whatever. But I, in my opinion, I think prices are just going to do nothing but go up as far as brass and things that we use to do these water lines. So I think it would be in our best interest as a city to raise the rate to $4,000 for a water service connection, because we need to not be in the hole when we're charging $3,000 and it costs us $3,600. And then that gives us a $400 buffer for costs to go up and down for the parts or any other complications that we have in the field. So,
You got 3/4 inch line, how come you're not going 1 inch? Because if we're putting an irrigation system in or whatever, then you need at least 1 inch.
yeah, this is just a standard house if you didn't have irrigation. If you have if you have a 1 inch, that cost goes up. And then if it's 2 inches, say you have a big business or, you know, something like that, then the cost is going to go up as well.
Well, can I suggest that if you just raise this to 5,000, that will cover anything that you just can't fund, and that happens. So a $5,000 hookup fee, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
and consider it as a lot of places. So,
It's totally up to you guys. That's just my suggestion. A lot of the cities, when I went over to, I think it was Kennewick, I took a class on water connections fees, and there's some cities that are paying or they're charging like $15,000 for a water connection fee. So I think if you guys are in the 4 or like Dave said, 5 range, that would still be reasonable. Those $15,000 ones there in like Snoqualmie where it's like, you're only gonna be there for snow and you're gonna have a seasonal house. So usually people up there in Snoqualmie can afford it. So.
Stephen, how many of these are you putting in a year?
I already have 3 on the books for next year. I held off because they're kind of just getting their houses to dry in for the winter. And then spring, I'm gonna have automatically 3 connections to do. And that's all digging up the main and tapping them. So
Is that for the same price? Is that for this price? Or the 3,000?
they have not paid yet. So
Have you told them a price?
I haven't because it all depends on what you guys
Okay.
decide.
I have another question on that for the cross connections, because they're really sticking on some places. Are you having the homeowner pay for the cross connection if you have to have install them?
Yes.
That's not mentioned in here, but I think that probably, because that varies in cost and everything else. So have that the homeowner will pay for the cross connection device if needed.
Yeah, that's something that you could add in.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
There's no way the city can pay that. You don't, that's not determined cost.
What are we charging currently?
You said 3,000.
3,000 for water and 2,000
That
for sewer.
doesn't seem like it's enough to get us on center, really.
No, well, it's costing, but he's right, the grass is going up and everything else, and so I say 5,000.
Granite Falls charges 25,000 for water and sewer hookups.
Who does?
Granite Falls
For each, or together?
together.
Didn't they talk about in Spokane, any houses coming in, they're gonna charge like 30,000 per house just because of the impact on schools and roads. That's just, for the builders, it's gonna be 25,000 anyway for that, not to mention hookups.
Yeah.
Now you're suggesting 4,000 for each water and 4,000 for sewer?
No, I'm purely talking about distribution right now. So just the water.
Oh, wow.
So it's up to you. I don't mind either way. It doesn't affect me. I get paid the same.
So this is a new for new. So like if there's been a home that's been sitting and there was water there, that hookup fee is not, is it 3,000?
It depends. If they've been paying improvement charges all along, then there's no fee. There's just the fee if it's new, or for instance, if they're converting from a garden spigot. We only have 3 of those left in town. But if they were converting from that into a full connection, then it would be a new fee, which right now is $3,000. If there was an old home there, but they have not been paying improvement charges this whole time, it's a new connection fee.
So a house is sitting vacant, it sells, a new person comes in, there wasn't any water paid on it for a long time. So just to get it hooked back up, they're not digging, they're not doing all that, but is it 3,000?
It is, yeah. And we try to be super clear with people when because normally when a house is, even if it's vacant, they're still paying improvement charges. That's normal. But if somebody wants to turn it off, they have to pay the disconnection fees. And we make it super clear, you're gonna need to have this off for quite a while to justify having to repay to connect it up, if that's what your plan is. So we always make sure people know what they're looking at.
A realtor's being clear with someone that this water was shut off for a long time and you will have to be.
Hopefully, we are very clear with people when they call us and ask us about properties, if there is or is not.
So there's
a
no
connection fee.
differentiation for But, because that's a lot of work, I understand why you would bring this to us, you know, that goes into putting in a new line. But there's no way around making that less for a line that's already in place, but that just needs to get hooked up.
Well, that's not usually the case. If a property has no service and they haven't been paying the improvement fees, they're not usually up to code anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
I think Reed's been trying to jump into this.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Two questions. First one is for you, Steve. On your complications of install, you mentioned that if you try to go into the main line and that pipe breaks, why is the customer being charged for the city main line damage?
He's not.
Well, that's what he just said. If that would fall under complications, he stated that if they were putting it, attaching to the main line and it broke because it was fragile or whatever, that the customer's gonna have to pay to repair that line.
I maybe misspoke on that, so.
Okay.
Like, it's probably not that, it's probably complications, like sometimes we're dealing with bedrock or
Right, yeah, I
things like
understand.
that.
Right,
There's
okay.
always complications, it kind of depends on
Right.
either.
To me, that wasn't a complication that the owner would have to pay for. That's a city
Yeah.
pipeline. Okay. And the second question goes to you. You were saying about raising this to $5,000. But if it comes in only costing 36, do they get a refund for that, or is that just go
Because
into the water fund?
most often than not, you're gonna have a little bit more, like it says.
No, yeah, I understand that.
Because sometimes in the area, you're gonna have rock, you gotta haul off.
Right.
And so he's gotta bring it in, he's gotta bring gravel in if he needs it. He may have to get an extra band or what, there's a lot of hidden costs.
Right, I understand that
with
with
those things.
we're doing things. So I was just curious if it fell under like this, would they get to refund the difference, or is
No.
it's gonna cost 5,000? Okay.
It's up to us to set that cost of whatever we want, 5,000. The council would approve that's what your connection cost is. If it goes over that with certain complications, then you may have more,
Right, I
but it
understand.
doesn't go backwards.
Okay.
We brought it from 2 to 3 about 4 years ago.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years ago, I was just on the, I was on the council.
Yeah. It was too forever. And so and everything was going crazy as far as costs.
Right.
Another thing,
So we had to bump it. We had to.
I understand raising it.
I don't know that, I don't know that we need to raise it more than 4, because we can always raise it again in another 3 years when they exceeds that. Maybe things will slow down a little bit.
and I can look at the invoices as they come in from HD, and if they jump because of some reason, then I can come back to you guys, say 6 months down the road and be like, hey, prices are skyrocketing, we need to cover this kind of thing. But also, just to go back to the existing line in there, if they weren't paying the improvement charges, usually what we do to bring that system back up to par is we take the old meter shedder out, and then we put a new meter shedder in, and we'll blow it out for at least like 20 to 30 minutes just to get all the sediment on our half good, and then we'll put a new meter in. Especially like if it's, a pain to access, like if somebody's in somebody's backyard or something.
Right.
We'll put a radio read meter in, which I think they cost around $500 now per meter.
So there's a fair amount of work and expense even.
Yeah, just to kind of redo the existing lines. Because we have to make sure that once we turn that valve on, that it's gonna be clean, fresh water on our side of that meter.
Right, I understand. We're responsible up to that meter is our portion. Okay.
Question. Off the subject a little bit. What does it cost to put for the sewer line? 7 months, if we hook up for sewer.
It all depends on depth at that point. And it usually isn't that much. So I think by the time we use our new green pipe up to 100 feet, and then we have to punch in and then have a saddle on the sewer main, I think we're pretty good on that. I can bring that to you on the 16th if you would like, just prices.
Just so we know what your cost might be, so we know to build something in.
Yeah.
So you're not caught short on that one.
I think we need to keep in mind, I think it's important to stay up with the costs. But I also don't want to make it so prohibitive. We've had a lot of discussion about potential growth. If we've got the port project out here, and we want to make it doable for people to build. And if you remember, we've approved tiny homes and hope that that is a first step for some people to build, but the cost there is the same for a tiny home and putting this in or whatever home that we put there. So, and then with other things going up, we want to think about what's going to encourage people to be able to come and build and have it not put us in a hole, but at the same time, not be the same as building in Spokane or somewhere else. So just something as we think through what's going to, I like Roy's idea of maybe staying at 4,000 and
That's fine. I have no problem with this.
Well, the city is probably not gonna be able to get totally whole on these costs. I mean, city can not donate, but in the process of doing a service, probably have to give some in-kind when they're putting it in, like the old days. Clearly, a lot of the services cities did. I know I built our house. We did a lot of stuff that was very reasonable. That was just sort of the standard. You need that, okay, we'll get that tomorrow, we'll get that in. It was just expected, and it was pretty reasonable. But that's changed, and now cities are much more stressed, and we need to be looking at real cost, and there's not this low cost and a certain amount of reserve to do all that. It was, we don't count that as you have a house, we'll take care of all the rest with a little cost. That's all changed. But on the other hand, city's probably gonna have to, what Shelley's saying, not make it so prohibitive. In some reasons, I don't think I'll do that, but what Roy's saying sounds like a lot of places are quite high.
Okay, airport, move on, unless we want to do something, you guys want to,
Well, I didn't know if we were going to okay that,
let's wait for more.
more information, okay.
If we're gonna bump one, the sewer might be a good time to bump it too. So let's see, get some more information.
I'm gonna stay up here because I'm up for the next one.
I was gonna ask, here's a whole packet, there must be more.
Okay.
I can go sit back down.
No,
No.
you wanna wear a different hat? Okay, all right, the airport electrical, Steven, come on up.
So in front of you, I have, I believe, there's 3 quotes and then one email copy of somebody backing out on the project. So we were getting quotes because in the process of Solon Construction doing the runway project, they tore out some conduit. Basically, we weren't anticipating on them having to dig deeper into the one side of the runway. And we are allowed to pull a permit and have our employees do it themselves and have it inspected. I just think that this would be a more feasible way to have a licensed contractor go through it. That way he knows what he's doing. He's gonna basically wire up everything to where our lights will activate, and then we're gonna go back and install the bolts from we're completely done with the south side of the runway. Now we just have to go along the north side of the runway and change out the incandescent bulbs to LED bulbs and then fix some cans. I'm gonna be going out there with my transit level and hopefully in the springtime re-leveling all of those so they're all at the same uniform height. But I think this would be a much more fast and efficient way. That way, say me not being an electrician messes up something or doesn't do something to code, we're not having the inspector come out once, then me fixing it, and then him coming out again, and then him maybe catching something again. So American Pride bids, the one that you see for $17,122.65 is if he has to rent a mini and dig it himself. The next one $11,728.35. That's if we dig the trench for him, which I'm more than willing to do. And that would save us in the long run. And then Power City Electric, in my opinion,
Yeah.
well, we guess, but
Pass.
Yeah.
That was unreal.
so if you guys want to go down this avenue, I would suggest the American Pride Electric at $11,728.35. And it might even be cheaper than that, because we might not have to replace all the conduit on one side of the runway. And there might be things already to code out there. I don't know unless I dig it up. So it might be a little bit cheaper. And we found kind of a honeypot trailer out there with conduit and boxes that are brand new that hold the light stems. So
Christmas.
I was really like Christmas, so might save some money there too. So this quote might even come
Was
lower.
getting quotes and bids for what they call cans. It's the box that the lighting sits in. And that quotes ran anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000 just for the parts. So with Christmas coming early, there's an old trailer out there that was supposed to be a pilot lounge. Well, it doesn't really qualify anymore. And I was looking at surplus in that just for some income. Well, when Steven and Jeff went out there, that thing is just absolutely full of all these cans. So I think we have enough. Plus, I think we found some conduit and wiring, if I'm not mistaken. So that's gonna help with the cost too. So the lights don't work at night. It's easy. I just make a monthly notice to the federal government, FAA, that our NOTAM says we have no runway lights at night until we can get them fixed. But I have to agree with Steven. I want the permit so everybody knows we're doing it right. And for the amount of work, I think an electrician should do it just to cover our backsides. It's probably gonna be spring now before we can really do any digging out there. And we don't know how much that wire's still good. There's just a couple of spots where the wire got pulled up. So we may be even cheaper than this 11,000.
So is the city responsible for this, or is that part of the bid thing too?
Well, I've got to go back to JEB and Salem and do that this week, because if Salem damaged it, they should fix it. So that's the other side of this coin that I'm working on. He's been trying to find out what it was gonna cost us. I'm gonna find out who's gonna fix it. So
Pay to fix it or fix it, so we might not even need this person.
we may not, I don't know yet.
Well,
Anyway. Please stay tuned, and as soon as we have more, we will share.
so we're not making a decision tonight
No,
on
You don't
this,
have
just-
to know.
it's gonna be 60 days out anyways.
These are all proposals. And then one last thing, since I brought up water meters or water services, probably around the first of the year when our budget resets, I'll be coming in and giving you guys quotes on maybe doing some more radio read meters. But I'll bring that estimate to you. I gotta figure out how many 3/4, how many 1 inch, and how many 2 inch we still have in the ground that are old. But yep, just a heads up. That's all I got.
Good job, Steve.
Thanks.
Thank you. You sure you don't want to stay back up, or we're gonna
Yeah,
snow
we can
plowing?
think of something.
I think that's all Danny. I could stand up here.
Okay. Snow plowing, what do we got, guys? What,
I was just wanting to state that driving around to see Jeff has a snowplow pickup.
yes,
Okay. That is not for the city use, but he has
clients.
clients. But he's working for the city now. If there's snow, he should be working plowing the city streets and doing all that. If he starts at 4 o'clock in the morning, that's it. I mean, he doesn't do his customers, or whatever, he does on his first.
Well, I think the way I would look at it, and I got into a little bit of a second conversation, I don't know what Stephen and him have going. But I would think that if Jeff showed up at here at 6 o'clock, okay, if he did his jobs before a 6 o'clock time in a snow event, then I think, when he would start at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, but at 6 o'clock, that's almost too late. People are gonna be,
Your thoughts, Stephen?
people are gonna be in the way of you trying to plow the streets.
There's always gonna be the way.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this early you can get like
All
4.
right.
So what I originally do is I try to get out of my house at like 3:30, 4 o'clock, start plowing the snow. So like what me and Jeff talked about, and it's not like a set in stone agreement, is, well, like I didn't set it in stone, but what the agreement is he was going to start his clients at maybe like 1 o'clock in the morning, and then work up until we start at 4, and that way he can get his stuff done. Which, just to point out, I mean, some of his clients are the gas stations across the street here, the Wheatlands, and then the retirement homes and places like that. So technically, once I go up past the care center, as soon as you turn right to go into the retirement homes, that's not our city street anymore. So I've gone in there a time or two when there are huge berms or drifts up in there, and it's more than one pickup truck can handle, just as kind of a favor. And I'll push, one path in there and then one path out. But those are some of his clients, so they're just as important, like retirement
Yeah,
homes.
but no, if he's working for the city, he should be doing our working for us first. Not, if you start at 4, he should be here at 4.
Yeah,
And then-
I agree with him starting the same time. I'm just saying, like, if he gets his stuff done 12
yeah,
12
but
o'clock
I mean,
to
if
4.
If it's snowing like a son of a gun at 1 o'clock, and he's out here plowing across the street by 4, it ain't gonna be no good anyway. It's gonna be need to plow again.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, and then, then you get the city all done at once. You can make one pass, fine. Like last year, this side of the town, I know you make just one pass on each street, including my street, but yeah, no, it's at least 2 pass to get it cleaned up. You can't just make one pass and just, oh, we're done. Clean the streets up.
I don't remember doing that on Sheridan or Custer, but I mean, your street's kind of gravel and narrow, so
Well,
I also don't want
it's
to
at
get my
least 1.5.
truck stuck.
but Last year when I was still with the county, you got kind of lucky there. I was in plowing the county roads, and I took my grader up there and did it and widened it out. I know.
So for that right there, if they, on their timesheets, it shows what their hours are, then you can see that they're working those hours on their timesheets.
Yeah, but I mean,
Not, instead of just 8, break it down, what 8, 4 here, 3 there, whatever it may be. The timesheets need to reflect exactly what they're doing too.
well, you can go 8 hours just say plowing snow.
Easy.
Yeah, when the plows snow.
Yeah.
We can't usually do that because we have other things to do, like sewer plant and water and all the things.
That's just all I wanted to bring up. That it's just
I think it's reasonable to assume that a full-time employee the priority should be the city. I don't think Stephen's arguing that. I think that,
Yeah.
on the other hand, if you're doing a job before and you get hired, then that job has to be second fiddle. It can't interfere with what your job responsibilities are, as hard as it is, and that's why being full-time fills in that job you were doing before. You just can't keep adding on jobs and say, I can do them all. We all know that, we all think we can, but that doesn't work very well. But I think as long as the Public Works is aware of that, and they're starting and stopping when the city needs them, makes sense.
No, that's all I had.
On the other
I
hand,
just-
if there's a conflict, that's a conflict of interest, then that's a problem.
Yeah, if it conflicts at all, I'll note it and go through the proper channels of letting you guys know. You know, if it becomes a problem, but I don't foresee it becoming a problem. So,
In the past, and because I happen to live on a pretty busy street, most of the time, what they shot for was to get it plowed before the buses hit the routes.
Especially Hinkle.
Oh, well, any of them, you know, I mean, going up Washington. So if you can, as the drivers, if you think that you can get it going to work at 5, but it wasn't uncommon for the guys not to show up until 6 to get started, to punch them open. And because guess what? They've still got a full day in front of them every day.
We're gonna hear people complaining.
Well, no, it was only recently did we start going at 3 o'clock
Yeah.
and 2 o'clock in the morning.
People are leaving here, I mean, people are leaving here to work at 5, 6 in the morning now.
Yeah, well,
And
go to Spokane and see what happens.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, no way, I mean, we want it all done in 15 minutes.
Yeah, no.
So, I mean, if it snow's coming down and they elect to go out at 3 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
man, I'm not telling them, that's their call, because they can be
Yeah,
way
no, I
more
have no
efficient.
problem with that, it's just.
Okay, but I mean, like I say, it wasn't, I mean, we hear stuff that, you know, if you heard them at 5 o'clock, that was usually pretty early because they've got a full day of jobs other than just plowing snow.
Well, back in the old, I did the water and sewer, and Tom and Jerry just did the streets. And
Yeah.
that's how it.
Right.
Well, that's
So-
3 people. We only got 2.
He was about part-time.
Yeah, I think we've got it pretty well covered.
So anyway, okay.
it is running more efficient too, since we have the new plow on the mag truck. You know, that thing is awesome and it's worth its weight in gold, so. And then another good update is we just got back the grader, and the snow gates on it, it's all chained up, ready to go for winter, so.
They just want to, I'm sure they'd bring some coffee and a donut, you could probably go ride with them.
What was the story on
I don't care
the,
about the coffee, but make sure you bring a donut.
on the repair of that piece of equipment,
It was an internal transmission filter,
that's amazing, isn't it?
yeah.
I can't believe it.
I'm not a diesel mechanic, so I don't try to rip apart transmission or hydraulic transmissions that much. But it's not just like a car transmission filter where you can drop the pan and there it is, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think one whole side of the dual axle rear had to come off in order to access that panel, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's complicated, yeah.
Stephen, I'd just like to say, I know a lot of people appreciate your efforts to start earlier. There's one person in town that has to have dialysis on a regular basis, and getting out of town is critical for her. And others that I think we have a lot more commuters that maybe we have at other times, you know, especially after COVID, people moving down. And so, and then we have a lot of teachers that are trying to get into town. So I thank you for starting
Yeah,
that.
we
I
do.
think that's been great.
I know my daughter Karen, she goes to Colfax down there. You know, a lot of people commute. I mean, that's just how it is.
All right. Yeah, you go sit down.
Unless you need me anymore.
I'm sure we'll talk about you
Thanks,
later.
Steve.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, thanks, ma'am. Okay, ma'am, Parks and Rec letter, maybe?
So Parks and Rec submitted a letter, it says, Dear Tekoa City Council, I'm requesting on behalf of my commissioners for Tekoa Park and Recreation District Number 6, that you would please forgive our September bill late fees on our pool and parks water bills. I was out of town and our bills were delivered one day past the cutoff, and $60 in late fees for our 4 accounts adds to the hardship our district is having. We kindly request a reversal for these fees since our history shows that this very rarely occurs. Thank you for your consideration in this matter. Sincerely, Heidi Trimble.
Well, I'm all for giving them, but the problem is you do it for one, you don't do it for all.
That's it.
But I'm okay with it.
Yeah, they're a public entity and they're having problem to
Well, yeah, but
levies up to make that.
like Dave said, you do it for them, then somebody else come in and say,
It's not like we shut them off.
Yeah.
Okay, the worst, we didn't incur any expenses other than just being late.
Right. And it's a public entity, it's not individual. And we gotta work with the boards and the groups that we have. That,
Yeah,
that's not a lot of money.
That's a group of hardworking
$60.
volunteers for our city, hardworking volunteers, so I think if the city can do anything to help
I'll
their
just
job.
step back
we
because
should.
I probably have got a conflict, so. Okay,
Well, I think it's kind of a hard one. I totally agree with supporting the parks and everything, but I know that people have come and they were out of town or at some more snowbirds, Arizona, and a letter would pass and, you know, there was like, they were off a couple dollars, they sent in what they thought it was, and we didn't forgive them, and, or we didn't, you know, it was about a gift of public funds, and, unfortunately, because we've already put that precedence in place, I feel like we are here now. Can they make payment? How much is the?
60.
60 times 4.
No, 15 times 4, so
Yeah,
60
it's
total.
60.
Oh, okay, I misunderstood what they said.
You know, the other thing is, that's a recurring monthly charge. If they were not gonna be in town, they knew it was coming, why they just pay it early?
They did, and the person who doesn't normally pay it saw a squirrel, and they didn't get it to the city on time. That's what it was. So they had tried to, saw a squirrel, you know, and got
Distracted.
Sorry.
We're gonna blame it on.
So anyway, they had tried to take care of it, and it just wound up not happening.
I would be happy to cover one of the months personally and help make a donation. And if maybe 3 other council members want to do that, I know sometimes council, I would rather do that than do public funds just because the precedence has been set. So,
Even though it's a government agency.
You're still setting the
I guess
precedent.
we can just take a vote on it.
yeah, I mean, I know it's a
We
stick, I mean,
I make a motion that we forgive it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we forgive the $60 late fee. All right, any more discussion? Well, I can see this might be a little bit close, so we're gonna go around, all right? Okay, been moved to waive it, so a yes vote is voting to waive it. Okay, got it? All right. Shelley?
I'm gonna abstain because I'm the liaison for the Parks Board, so I feel like I have a little bit of a conflict. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I know, chicken way out.
No, Reed, you can't abstain
You
because.
can't.
Me first.
Yeah, go for it.
You can't abstain because you were at this meeting.
No, I understand. And just make sure, it's just for the $60, that's all it was for the 4 counts?
Yes.
I'm going to say no.
You're gonna vote no. No. Okay, 2?
I see this.
2 to 1, 3 to 1,
Yes.
3 to 2,
Yes.
4.
All right, here we go.
Well, you have a conflict too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna vote.
Can we flip a coin like they did in that one place so who won the?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Scissors.
Just-
Come on, Shelley, break the tie.
Can we just not charge them anymore? Can we talk about this amongst ourselves or whatever?
That's it. You know how that will work.
I'm gonna say no, but I'm gonna say no, but will make a donation to the Parks Board to help pay for it and I will encourage others.
Okay, so motion passed, motion fails, 4 to 3.
It's okay.
Got it?
But it does have a lot of, because it is gonna set up a thing where somebody's gonna come back and say you did it for them.
Well, this is a little different than
I
just
know, I
somebody.
agree,
All right,
but I'd rather put my own money in this.
Okay. all right, next on the agenda. Here we go, sorry.
We've got the next payment request from Community Engineering and Consulting for the small water system. management plan update out at the industrial park. And so it's for $5,221. And the note at the bottom left-hand corner is helpful because it shows that the authorized fee at this time is $164,250. Bill to date, including this invoice, is $99,358.73. And the total budget remaining is $64,891.27.
What the court pays it, that's it.
And the port is reimbursing us for all of this.
Okay. I'm for it. Okay, you ready to pay it? Dave votes to pay it. Anybody wants to abstain to start with, or you just gonna? Is there a second?
Second.
Reed second it if you.
This is your first.
This is my first second. Take that with you.
Your first second.
My first second.
Second first? Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay.
Eliza, can we, I would join Michelle in paying for that. For that
Come and find
cost
us
of that.
afterwards then.
I mean, I have no problem with that, if we can do that, I have no problem with
Oh, sure, yeah, that's no problem.
that. Okay.
Okay, announcements and reports. I'm gonna read this.
Are we on the credit card statement?
Oh, that's right. Why did I flash that out? Okay, credit card statements, packet,
Okay,
policies.
so I had brought up at previous meetings about having the credit card statement put in our packets, and we had some discussion about it last time. I've been in touch with Eric and looked at some MRSC, Marge called MRSC and talked to them about it. And I just want to really clarify, I wasn't asking for them for free. I like anybody, they're public records requests, if they're emailed to us, and we can do it, and I'm looking through them right now. But I just feel like studying that helps us make informed decisions. And so having we get the treasurer's report, we get the budget position, and then the credit card statements, if that is added, I just think that's a good thing to have in our packet. So according to Eric, in order, I didn't have to come down and look through stuff. Eliza treated it as a public records request, and so she sent those to me. I got those right before Thanksgiving, so thank you. In order to have them regularly in our packet, we currently don't have it as a policy. According to Eric, we just need to make it a policy. So I'm going to motion that going forward that we have the credit card statement included monthly in our council packets.
So can I add, that you're just looking just for the statement, not for the receipts?
No, because the receipts, I mean, that's all here.
Yeah.
It's just, there's 7 of us getting down here early to really look through. I really do look through packets and look at information most of the time. Sometimes life happens, but it is easier for me to sit at home and look through and see what questions I want to bring when we come. So that's what I would like to, but just that not all the receipts are here for us to look at and go through.
I'm all for that too, for the reasons it gives us a few days to look at these things and then question it. And if we do have questions, we just go down to the city hall. But I think with the state of what's happening with a lot of communities, whatever, not accusing anybody, but I think it would be good to have just the statement in our packets. And then if we have questions on it, then we can come down and ask Liza or when we have a council meeting, look at it.
Are you seconding my motion?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Anybody got anything? All right.
Well, I just feel like, there again, our citizens are paying in. I think they have the right to, that was your concern, wasn't it, for too many people seeing it, or?
Just the receipts, pushing the receipts all over.
I don't see any harm in it being in there, being included for our transparency and their curiosity, anything else.
Well, they can make a public records request anyway.
Yeah,
But yeah, I just think it's
That's
for us.
our work.
I think it's important that we as council members it's not just up to Mike in his position to look through things. We need to all be looking at things and asking questions, and it's for the benefit of us all as a team. So we do not say, no, we look at that, this is what they spend, and because things get twisted around or whatever, and we're just doing our part of knowing and asking informed questions.
We have the right to have access to any documents that the city has, so we can make decisions. Politics aside, I think that's, when we talk to state auditors, they make quite a point of that no matter where you are, you're responsible for all that, and the biggest, and particularly credit card. So I do think that we gotta be proactive and thorough, and having our packets makes sense. And I hope it doesn't, there was a comment about it's a bad look for people might misunderstand these credit card charges. I'm not sure how to deal with that, but I do think we need to have it in our packet, and if somebody else wants to go after it personally, get a public record request, they can do that, but that's not our plan, that's not what we're doing.
Okay, well, I just think it needs to be made clear that we were not denying this. This never happened that we were denying you guys to look at it. We were just hoping that we could keep it in-house, because then if some erroneous stuff got out there, we could know where it came from. But anyway, so it's been moved and seconded. If there's no further discussion, we'll have a vote. So all in favor of the credit card policy, as Shelley stated it, that they be included in the packets, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
President, I'm gonna kind of sit on the sidelines because I feel like I'm already involved in that, and I don't want to make a decision one way or the other.
Okay.
I'll
Motion
just step
passes.
aside on that one.
And I just want to say, one, thank you, Eliza, for how quickly I know with all everything going on, making that a public records request, and wouldn't normally, because I would look at the whole year. So, if it's in the packet, then just not having to do that. And also for taking time after the meeting last time and kind of helping me know how to look at it and what to see. So I really appreciate that. And Roy, to your point, when March talked to MRSC about it, and looking online and everything, it is true. I mean, they just like we don't necessarily put the salaries are there, they're available, but we just don't put, because people start speculating, and, if it's just like published on every page of everything we do. So your point is taken, that that MRC's, advice was to understand that the conflict for you guys isn't that you're trying to necessarily hide anything. It's just that things get translated correctly.
Okay.
But I think once you show hesitancy, then people get curious, and then they start putting in public records requests, they start looking at it, that's when they start speculating. So I think it's just important for us to all have an understanding of
The
this.
hesitancy in my opinion, okay, it comes from overstepping what is some people's roles and what others people's roles are. And there's, it's that fine line of walking between micromanaging and letting the process happen as it's supposed to happen. Okay? We've got a financial officer that was looking at it. We were allowing you to come in and looking at it, but yet there was still a push that wasn't good enough. And so that's kind of the thing. That's where my pushback came from. That it's a fact that it's, in my opinion, I'll just say it that way, that there's some pushing that whatever we give, we've got to give more. And that's not always been that case with past clerks and with past mayors. It creates a little bit of an air that nobody trusts us, and that's where I was getting from. Okay.
Well,
So,
and Roy, can I just say, because I started this never started from me as a sense of not trusting. This is my insatiable curiosity to understand the process. And I do want to say that I talked to the Parks Board. They put the credit card statement out there for all of their members. And I actually did check in with Kenda, and she said that she included the statement in packets in the past. Some places do, some places don't. So again, I just want to give you that piece of
All right.
mind.
Great, thank you. Okay, mayor's report. I've got a letter here, and I don't think this qualifies as, it's a report. Mike was gonna try to be here tonight. Evidently, there's bad people running around Liberty Lake, and he wasn't gonna make it back. So I asked him to put a letter in because there was concerns, not concerns, questions about time and all this good stuff. So it says, Mayor Schultz, I was going to come to the meeting tonight, but it looks like I'll be working later than normal. October, November, I was involved with issues involving dogs, unlicensed vehicles, and an issue involving a neighborhood dispute on Water Street. I was alerted to the dog complaint on social media. The complaint reported 2 dogs running loose, and one of them jumped onto a stroller with his child in it. He said the dogs were being aggressive. I called and talked with him and learned that who the owners were, and that they've been a problem in the past. I went to the owner's home, and they were told their dog had been listed as a dangerous dog, and gave them a copy of the ordinance. I have not received a call or seen any more social media posts about these dogs. I did email all council members about the issue, so they were aware if a resident would ask them about it. A vehicle parked across from the hardware store was tagged due to a license being expired. The vehicle was removed from the area. I'm in the process of taking more vehicles and one trailer. I will let you know the outcome. The problem with Water Street is the homeowners are not getting along with mostly everyone in the area. At this time, they were complaining about neighbors' cat spraying on their property. This was dealt with over several days, both during my normal work hours and evenings. I am sure this will be an ongoing issue and that I will be dealing with. These are just a few things that I dealt with over the last 2 months. Keep in mind that during the winter, things slow down compared to the normal weather. You asked me how many hours I work as code enforcement during the month. I am paid for 20 hours a month, and during the summer, I work well over 20, but during the winter, it depends on the weather. Every time I'm in my car driving around, I'm looking for violations. If I find any, I address them right away by talking with the resident living on the property. I recently received a new citation books from the state, so I can go back to taking enforcement with the residents who will not comply with the ordinance. Please let me know if you have any more information. Okay?
And I think that's what the city council would like to have, is those kind of things like that. What you showed, what you're doing.
That was good.
Okay, let's try to remember if I had any other. I really don't. We met out of due diligence. JUB came down with their sewer guys and expressed interest in being considered as this project moves forward. It was very, very impressive. Steve sat in on the meeting and Jeff sat in the last 20 minutes. And JB's got a pretty sharp guy. And they're not trying to do anything. They're just expressing that they want to make sure they get considered as this project moves on. Okay?
Our sewer project.
Yes.
JB, it's a good engineering firm.
Yep. Yep. It was, yeah. You know, the guy from JB was like Matt. He was precise and had lots of details and lots of information. So
So are we still contracted with American Century?
yes.
I thought that contract ran out.
Just through the end of the facilities plan presentation.
Okay. Once they get done, then it will go back out.
So at that time, we would all hear a presentation from JUB.
Possibly. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
I'm assuming Matt's interested in that too.
would assume so. Yes.
And Matt's part of J&B.
Matt's centric. Matt is he's community engineering.
He's a consultant.
He's a consultant for us. And he's the one that's working for the city and the port on the water out at the industrial park. Okay. I don't think I've
He
said
doesn't do designing anymore.
Okay, I don't think I've said anything out of place, so
No,
I'm gonna stop with that.
that makes sense. I just lose the track of who was what.
Did you have anything?
Just that,
supposed to-
take a note in your packet, there's the city of Tekoa vehicle inventory. I thought I had put this in the last packet, it turns out I only had it in mine. So Stephen went through the vehicles and equipment that the city owns, and he rated them on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best condition, so that the council should start thinking about, where we're going to need to invest in equipment going forward.
Okay,
But that's not a full list of the equipment. I mean, it's just the vehicles though.
Well, he's got the forklift and the grader and the gutter truck, so it's most of the equipment that we would be
It's got
thinking of.
TV cameras and things like that that are taking a beat.
Sure.
Okay.
There's also.
Did the one
incidental.
account, has like about 5,000 or 6,000 that we put, we depleted, is that the same account we depleted for the
Yes.
street sweeper? And we put in about 5,000?
Yes.
6,000?
Yep.
And so maybe that's something we should decide between now and see if we need to put a little more in there for the year.
Well-
You know what we think with it.
Yes, so one thing that had been spoken of was if it was maybe in the city's interest to like replace a truck and use payment plans on it, so that it's less cost per year, but it gets the job done, in 5 or 6 years kind of thing. So those are options, but at least you have the list and you can start thinking about it.
okay.
Did anything, you guys had right after our last meeting, you met with the Department of, about the grants? About whether or not things affected the grant, like.
Yes,
money,
yes,
that
the
was-
Department of Ecology. Well, that was part of mine. Are you finished? I'm sorry.
My timer went off. I was right.
That's spoiled.
She gives me that look like shush. Okay.
Sorry. So what we have in reserves does not affect how they look at our hardship level. Neither do our rates. What they're looking at is the actual cost to the city per resident and that includes our loans. So our operational costs and all of our obligations for the system. So that was a clarifier for me too, that it wasn't the rates they're looking at, it was our costs.
So we don't need to raise our rates?
Well,
Nice
so
try.
what Matt had said many months ago now was that at that time that he was telling us, we were already in the 50-50 hardship category because we were over 2% of the median income for citizens of Tekoa. In order for us to get 75% grant and 25% loan, we would have to be over 3%. That would be a big jump. And I don't think we're gonna get there, between now and then. So right now, it looks like with just the Department of Ecology funding, we would be eligible for 50% loan and 50% grant. One of the things that Kim did say was that once they make the city an offer of funding, they will tell us exactly how much more funding we can get before it affects how much grant they'll give us, which is great, because then we can try to find that, and that's part of the roundtable with working with Public Works Trust Fund and trying to find as much money as we can.
So we're in a very hopeful scenario.
Yes,
At this point.
yes.
Us and 40 other towns, right?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of competition for the money, but we're also on the short list
Yep.
of little.
But aren't we on, there's something Matt keeps mentioning that we are already, there's something we're already on a qualified for.
Yes, I'm calling it the
But
short
there's
list.
another name for it.
Yes.
Okay.
I sat in on that too, it was kind of interesting listening to Kim. They've got a complex formula of what's the median income for Whitman County, and 80% of that, and 70% of that. And once they get the numbers, they will tell us exactly, we don't have to do any of that. She also said that it is a huge benefit when we submit our request, that our project is shovel ready. She says, if you guys do that, we know you're ready to dig, and we can give you the money. If you come in with other than shovel ready, say we're still, she goes, you're gonna be on the back end of the list, and you may not get any funding. Whereas if you say, here's where we wanna go, and here's what it works tremendous in our advantage.
How much time do we have?
It was just interesting listening to her explain it again.
Yeah, but I mean, is there a
Makes
window of
sense.
time before we're, I mean, they're gonna say you're never gonna be shovel, I mean,
We're talking probably by April or May.
okay. And they're comfortable with that.
Oh, yeah.
I think that the understanding was that once Century West makes their facilities plan presentation at the next meeting, then you guys will have time to decide what you want to do going forward, especially to the C for the plant design. So then that's what makes us shovel ready. We know what we want, we're ready to go to the design phase. So, and ready, yes.
And then when, Century West comes, does their presentation include the one that Stephen was looking into, the
Yes,
Yes.
sewer in a box or whatever?
Yeah.
yeah, he's buried in with a bunch of stuff. He keeps sending them stuff.
Okay, so basically, the real options will be in front of us.
Yeah.
Those will
If
be.
they're on the game, that's what will
We might have to
happen.
pick which one we can do with us. And I think Eliza said in the email to us that it's not about the cheapest, it's about the most effective. And I think Dave had brought that up about how many years we want it to, we don't want to be looking in 20 years to.
Well, it's actually 50, but they say.
Yeah, she also made the comment that some communities have
Yeah.
shot themselves in the foot by going for the cheapest option, and now they no longer have the ratio to get the funding because their project
Project.
doesn't cost enough.
The project wasn't expensive enough.
Yeah.
Not only is this a great country or what?
Double-edged sword.
No.
Back in 91, when the city council voted to go cheap on that serve pump, put the dry beds in, and I think we're still paying for that, aren't we?
I don't know which thing we're paying for before
Well,
when I got
it was
it.
a good sized loan, and that was a waste of money.
Yeah. That was interesting. She says, yeah, they shoot themselves in the foot. Because the question was asked, okay, if we elect just not to step over the bar and actually do something really pretty good, that's gonna last this community for a long time, for another 70 years, are we penalized for that or are we rewarded?
I think they'll be rewarded.
Well, and she didn't exactly say that, but she says, yeah.
But in the long term, the maintenance cost, the
Well,
operation.
if we'd have done this thing 15 years ago, we could have done it for probably $3 million.
Probably so.
And so yeah, you don't want to just slide under the bar or
Yeah.
slide over the bar. You want to just say, try not to pass it on to,
3
Yeah,
generations.
let's
now.
get it done.
right,
Let's
yeah,
do it right.
to all of our kids, so. All right, one more thing, timer's running.
So the solar grant, I can't remember if I let you know that was postponed. Okay, so it's been postponed. We're automatically supposed to be considered for the next round, but then I got another set of communications from WSU, which is involved in this whole process. And they want the application to come from Council on Aging, who is the nonprofit that we bank works through. So right now I am trying to get that transferred over to Council on Aging. So it's not gonna happen sooner, it's gonna happen a little bit later, as long as we can get Council on Aging to do that. It's a pretty simple upfront application also. That's what I'm.
So within the year maybe?
I think he said we should know about the next round a little bit earlier than this time next year. So if we're in December, I would look for us to know maybe September.
And going back to what Shelley was talking about, as far as our roof, I mean, we see how rusted it is and everything else, and whether or not, I don't know, structurally wise, if we should be able to support that. At some point, if we get ready to do all this, are they gonna send somebody in and say, oh, you gotta replace the roof, or you're gonna pay more structural supports, and that's gonna come out of our pocket?
So we
For the
have
free.
a gal from McKinstry that wanted to talk with the city, and you might need to fill in some details here, but my understanding is that she is looking at all of those things and also seeing if there are other grant opportunities the city could take advantage of to be ready for that solar panel project electrically and structurally.
Yeah, and she was also looking at her shop to try to help out our whole system, if she really can. One other thing, they put the heat in the library and the museum, correct?
Yeah.
So,
I'll go check out his book and see one.
yeah, I guess it's working all right. Cross your fingers, right?
I haven't heard anything bad, go find out soon.
Yeah, okay.
That's good.
Okay, Dan, you got nothing? No, you're abstained?
No. One statement. Mark forever. Yes, I did have a couple of things.
Gotcha.
I just wanted to thank everybody for trusting in me and getting me into this position and do the best I can for the city. One thing I did not mention in my bio or anything, I don't think I've mentioned it to anybody else, but I am certified through the Air Force as a quality auditor and also through a worldwide organization, the IPC. And I did that for about 5 years doing quality audits. And so I think that will help in some of the things that we deal with, being able to help with that. The other thing is, I know we have different, I don't have any yet, areas that you work with, like you do with the golf course and everything else. And one thing that I've never heard mentioned in all the times that I've been sitting here is talking about the fire department. And that seems to me like it's kind of a black hole that's run by itself. And I want to volunteer if that's an area that we need to be interested in and have a liaison with that. And I talked to Donovan, just mentioned it to him, and he said he had no problems with it because of my fire department background. 4 years crash fire and rescue with the Air Force, and about 10, 15 years with volunteer departments. So I am familiar with that whole kind of operation, being with volunteer departments. And so I'd like to put my name in the hat as far as being a liaison between the city council and the fire department.
That's a good idea.
We just closed the nomination for your.
And I was talking to Pete about it today, it might be worth it to throw the fire out in the ambulance and the EMS system.
Well, that was my another question is, I didn't know if that was
We
part of the
used to.
city.
No, we used to have a liaison to them, but it just changed.
And so it needs to be done because of the hospital district. There's a conflict in there, and I think it needs to get worked out because that way the hospital district will help with the EMS system. So I checked
Okay.
it.
Yeah, I can do that too, because I've been with the fire department, I've never dealt with ambulance, but with the EMS, system and everything, so I can put that on.
Just a small red truck.
Yeah,
I mean,
just a little bit.
They have, the
All right,
hospital district has been more than cooperative in that regard.
Right.
Reed, were you at the end?
No, you keep rushing me.
No, I'm trying not to. Trying not to. All right, yes.
I'm wrong-winded.
You did say a couple things.
Yes, I
I was
did.
trying to figure out what a couple was.
Yeah, there's another one, so.
Okay, all right.
And the other thing that I have background in also is with the cemetery. For years, I've done online researching cemeteries for people, that live in another area. And it was with Find a Grave and dealing with cemeteries, trying to find graves, for people and all that. And also, being a minister, dealing with cemeteries and all that. So that's another area that I can work with. So I'll leave it at that.
Very well done.
I think
Thank you.
Pete's working with our.
Right, I know he was too, but
But that's a good expertise, what you're doing.
All right,
Yeah.
Shelley?
I don't have anything.
I just want to support that. I think what you're saying is an excellent idea. I think the fire department, like the golf course a little bit, they've been running along on their own. And the city supports half of it, do they not? Have their budget. So I do think that it's good to have interaction with them, and even have them come and talk to us from time to time, so we know what's going on.
I can get reports of what they've done, for the month, what they've had run wise and everything.
And that-
This time of the year is not that much, but
Because people ask us, so what's going on? Don't we pay for that? And I said, yes, you do. Well, what's going on? I said, well, I'm not entirely sure. Other than what the runs that go on and all that. They, not that they aren't important, of course. But beyond that, no, I have nothing.
Okay, Marge?
The only comment that I've got tonight is probably after the 1st of February, I'm gonna renegotiate all of the ground lease for the hangars at the airport. I've got some more information, and it may be a penny or two a square foot that will go up, but that would put us in line with everybody else. And that would give us a little bit more revenue for the airport, so that's coming down the pipe.
Well, I got a couple of things. We already mentioned about the timesheets and things, so I kind of like that, have that added in. Now for the credit card, we only got 2 credit cards out, right? That are issued for, because we gotta get the policy made with Eric, so he gets that written up. So there's 2 credit cards. 3.
There's one for the mayor, there's one for the clerk, and there's one for the public works.
So he carries a credit card?
No, nobody carries them, they're all in the same,
They're all in there.
and you check them out if you need to travel.
Okay, that's
That's
all.
good.
And then also for the golf course, I was talking to Pete a little bit. For the building out there, can we start looking into it, find out, get a bid or whatever, what it's gonna take? Or maybe you know what's gonna take, cost to do that building out there?
We've been trying to do that for about the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So what do we gotta do to get a bid or give it an idea what needs to be done?
Somebody's gotta do it.
We can.
We're working on it, but we've talked to a lot of people and it's the same thing with the port. I mean, if we gotta get somebody in there to give us a bid, so then we can get a grant. And we're
Okay.
working on it.
Right.
That's,
So like look into a contractor.
yeah, but you gotta have, not just a contractor, you gotta have solid people to bid that are substantial for the port to get on board. So that it's harder than you think.
It has to be initiated through the golf course though, right? I mean,
No, it's our
Right.
building.
No, we don't. Actually, we don't. No,
We can
Roy's right. We don't. We are really a mover and shaker in this, and they should have input, but and listen to what they want. But
Certainly, it would be nice to have their hand in it. For instance, and then I'll finish, I got some other thing I squirreled back around to. So we don't want to do anything without their approval, and they certainly don't want to do anything without our approval.
Right.
They can't just go out and do stuff willy-nilly. But then again, it almost behooves us to. The last time I talked to Scott Cockey, who's the chairman at this point, he says, we just need to get a 5-year plan and start going and say, okay, the first year we're gonna do windows. And then year 2, we're gonna see if we can get insulation in there. Year 3, we're gonna try to do this and make that clubhouse a reasonable, attractive facility so that they can kick back and they can generate revenue from it. For instance, when Dave wants to have these parties, that he can go out there and rent the golf course as a place and therefore kick back revenue to the golf course, which shines better on the city. So help them out that way. But then there's always, the money doesn't come free usually. There's some grants involved, and so we got to be able to be willing, or at least explore and find out what it's going to cost to have a match.
So you're okay to look and see what we can come up with,
Yeah.
and then work with the board out
Oh,
there?
yeah. Right now, I was told 2 months ago, they wanted to get the septic tank pumped. Good, okay, so here's a quick one. The septic tank has been a holdback as to getting very many events out there. Okay, nobody's really sure where it is. They know kind of where it's at.
Yeah, I know where,
It's over there in that whole area. Type of thing.
I'll take my big metal detector.
Anyway, so we need to get it pumped, and at the same time, we'll have the cemeteries pumped. So anyway, that's just kind of.
I'll try to find that.
And a caveat, and just squirreled around to it. Let's take squirrels.
Was it a
Well,
squirrel?
that's back.
This is a serious
Are you from the
one.
South?
A serious squirrel.
Okay, so, the theater has been approached, and we've had conversations about putting the theater on the National Historical Society. Okay, and that would enable them to get funds at a cost, there's a share involved, in order to help maintain the theater, to upgrade it, to keep it, and you've got to be on the historical watch or list in order to qualify for the funds, but right now there's a grant process to try to get the funds, and that is happening immediately. That has to be done by the 20th of December.
And who's doing that?
It's, the theater has taken the point, and the port has supplied their grant writer to do the grant.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so we're supposed to meet, coming up here, I think it's next week, and trying to keep a plan going, so, there's a lot of moving pieces because there's, it's like the golf course, there's them and us and those guys and these guys over here, and we're all trying to pull the ropes, and they're all going different ways, and so we're trying to get that all so it centers and we can get that process started. It's a once every 2-year process. The grants, you take them now and then they're not available for 2 more years. So if we don't hit the December window, we're out of the game for 2 years.
But it gives us experience for the next one.
Sure, well, and when the port has got a grant writer, and she's willing to tackle it, so, and it does a couple things, it keeps the port involved with us in that venue. You know, it gives them buy-in, is that a right word? Okay, all right, that is all I've got to say.
That's good.
That's good.
All right, that's good, okay. At this point, approval of the vouchers.
None.
Not this time?
No,
What did
but
they just sign?
I did want to say, this was the check register that came around was October. I redid it because when I was balancing it, I realized that we had paid USDA by check, and they had also debited our account electronically. So they paid us back in November for the debit. So that wasn't on there originally because I didn't realize they had done that.
So you brought up a good thing. So starting in January, Kevin drops down to $200 because Steve's got his license.
That's how that goes.
Yeah, Steven's already made it.
Yeah.
Already.
So that drops down. Okay.
Yeah, he just does his part then, right? Okay, we've approved, okay, no executive session. At this point, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn and go home.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Bring your packets in, please.
So
Thank
we're
you,
just
guys.
re-signing this.
Yes, that's the
Pretty
only
exciting.
change on there
Merry
is
Christmas. I
that
think that's.
you'll see a set